of our 10-day series. And so yesterday we talked about, what we talked about was, we talked about setting up your practice three-way calls. And great job. How many of you guys have started, how many of you guys have your list of names and you've started reaching out to those 5 people? Who started doing that? Like, you've sent some messages out, you've started reaching out to them. It feels good, right? It feels good to start reaching out. Awesome, you guys. Awesome, awesome. So yes, and so you want to make sure that you're doing that. And so right now you want to, every single day, so you have your first 5 names, you've reached out to them. What you want to do now is go ahead while you're setting up those 5. Then tonight, between tonight and tomorrow, you want to go ahead and reach out to your next 5. That way, while you're waiting, you're not dependent upon anyone. I always feel like sometimes you can get fixated on, I want this person to be the person that I'm talking to. And so if you're continuously reaching out, you are going to get those 10 calls in. It may not be the people that you originally thought. So I would go ahead and begin to reach out then to those next 5. This is all part of this 10-day journey of no emotion, of just going to do the work. So that's really what we're working on. Now, I know that some of you, I know that I did a call with Allison today. Good job, Allison. I know that Brittany and I did a call today. So great job, Brittany. I know that several other people have started doing their calls today. I know that I have a ton of appointments tomorrow. I know a big shout out to Julie Schiesler, who's already finished her t-shirt. She's already enrolled her 4 people for this week. So great job, Julie, just in the first couple of days of the contest. So great job to you for doing that. And we're really excited. I know that you're sitting now at 9 active people, so almost ready now to launch the rest of these out on your own. So exciting. And so great job. So the calls are really working. And they're going amazing. But what I want to do now is I want to dig a little bit into follow-up. And I want to become so adamant about follow-up that I want you to also learn how to follow up in your sleep, where there's no question of how do I follow up? What do I do? For me, sometimes I feel like follow-up is the hardest, because I think that for a lot of people, and I know for me, sometimes if I don't know whether the answer is no, then it could be a yes. And so sometimes to get that no is a little bit heart-wrenching, but that's really what we're looking for, is we're looking for a yes or a no and not a maybe. And so I want to teach you how to ask the questions to get someone to say yes or no. I'm going to go over some just a little bit of knowledge with it, and then I do want to see if any of you have questions, and they can be very specific to you as far as your follow-up. So the follow-up, first of all, starts with right after the 3-way call. So of course, last night we talked about overcoming objections during the 3-way call, using the sheet, all of that type of thing. And then the next thing was immediately after the call that you want to stay on with the person that has just listened and say to them, so what did you really think about that? And you want to brace yourself and really listen for what that question is going to be. Now, the topic of tonight's call is not overcoming objections. That's another topic. The topic of this call is follow-up. And so they're going to say to you, they might ask you some questions. They're going to say some things to you. They may say, I don't want to do it. But most likely they're going to say things like, well, I'm really interested, but I just need to understand this, or I have questions about that. They're going to say some different things to you, and what they're looking for typically is more information. The average person coming into Isagenix is not an impulse decision. It very rarely is an impulse decision, because when someone's making a decision about changing their diet, changing their lifestyle, changing their food source, it is something that they've got to emotionally decide whether or not they're ready to do. Whenever I was in my other business, we would have to sell $5,000 worth of makeup to people. And I could sell $5,000 worth of makeup to someone, Johnny on the spot. I could sit down with Eric Dacey and I could be like, Eric, this is why you need $5,000 worth of product. This is why it's going to benefit you. What do you think? You could put it on your credit card. And I could get him to make a decision literally right then and there to spend $5,000 because it was an impulse decision. But with Isagenix, sometimes it'll take me 2 or 3 days to get someone to make a $300 decision. And that took me a good 3 or 4 months to get used to and a lot of frustration. But you've got to be very, very aware of a lot of times people are not going to decide Johnny on the spot. Whenever I'm giving someone the information, I feel like my job is to give them whole fact information and let them then make an educated decision. All day long, I will talk people into listening. I will never, ever talk anyone into signing up for Isagenix, because if I have to talk them into signing up for Isagenix, they're going to be a pain in my rear end for the rest of my life. Because if they are not excited about it, then how in the world am I going to coach them through a cleanse, coach them through a shake? So my job is to educate them, find their need, figure out if I can help them to fill that need with Isagenix, and get them educated. So after that call, you're going to say to them, so what did you think? What's going to happen at that point is they're typically going to ask you some questions. Now, a lot of times they're going to want more information. You want to end every single contact that you have with every single person. You want to end that with material that you send to them and almost another appointment to talk to them. So if I were talking to you, Dewana, I would not be thinking, I'm going to recruit Dewana tonight. I would be thinking, I'm going to find out what Dewana's needs are. I'm going to figure out how Isagenix can fill that need. I'm going to communicate it. I'm going to say, so what do you think? When you come back and you tell me what your concerns are or what more you need to look at, then I'm going to send you a tool to look at. So every conversation I have is going to end with a new tool, and then I'm going to ask you if I can call you tomorrow and check up on you to see if you have any questions. I hope that makes sense. So every time when we do a three-way call, you're going to say, so what do you think? Let's put this into motion. So what do you think? And they're going to say, well, I'm just a little bit concerned because, I'm worried about whether or not I'm going to stick to this. And maybe the person's really overweight. Then I might send them the Jill Birth video. We're going to talk about some different tools to watch because that would relate to their issue or their problem. And then I would say to them, can I call you tomorrow and see what you think about the video I'm going to send you? So then I send them the video, and then they're expecting my call tomorrow. So I ended that appointment then with another follow-up for them to watch the video. I hope this is making sense. Something else that you can do is you can add the person into Fit Happy Life. So when I'm talking to someone, if they are young, enthusiastic, with it, hip, into Facebook, I will put them into Fit Happy Life. And I know that you guys probably know that drill where you put them in, and then I say, hey, Allison, this is the page I was telling you about. And then down in the comment section, I might put another video that relates to them. So that's a piece of the follow-up. Now, that was not all of the follow-up. That was just one little piece of it. I want you guys to listen to this. So that was the initial follow-up. So you said, so what do you think? And then you sent them a tool that relates to them, and you asked them if you could check in with them tomorrow to see what they were thinking. I want you guys to listen to these stats. 2% of all sales occur on the first meeting. 44% of salespeople give up after one follow-up. 22% give up after 2 follow-ups. Another 14% give up after 3 follow-ups, and additional 12% after 4 follow-ups. That means that 90% of all salespeople have given up after 4 follow-ups, and only 8% follow up a 5th time. But 8% of all salespeople get 80% of the sales. And so I think that we give up too soon. I think that we think they don't want it, I'm bugging them. I think all of those things are going on, but particularly with Isagenix, we're working with timing. It could be a financial timing, it could be a life timing, it could be things going on in their life, and so you've got to continue on that process of follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. For me, I would say in Isagenix, I probably make contact with people 6 to 7 times before they say yes. Am I a bad recruiter? No, I don't think I'm a bad recruiter at all. I'm not. I recruit a lot of people, but 6 to 7 times probably before I actually get them recruited. And so you want to keep that in mind. So let's talk about some of the tools that you might send to them. So you've said, so what do you think? And maybe they've had questions. I really send the same tools over and over. So I'll put people in Fit Happy Life quite often. Sometimes I'll send someone an entire ISA movie. Like sometimes I will, after the call, sometimes I will send them ISA movie and say, if you want to dig in, there's information on everything. Sometimes I'll send them just Team Isagenix if they're an athlete, or I'll send them the website Team Isagenix. If someone's sciencey, or really wanting to understand how and why Isagenix works as far as weight loss, I'll go into Isagenix Health, and I will send the Isagenix versus the Heart Healthy Diet. I will send that material. Anytime someone wants information about the shake, and you guys can just Google this, I send, or it's also on the forms and flyer on Team Destiny Online. It's on that tab, but I'll send the New Zealand Way PDF. That's an amazing, beautiful PDF that I'll send to people. Anytime I've brought up the product B, I always send the productbdiscovery.com. If you guys have not delved into that yourself, I would definitely do that. The science is crazy. If someone is extremely overweight, I'll send the Jill Birth video. Almost anytime someone is extremely overweight and they watch that video, there's a really good closing ratio with that, so I'll send that. Something else that I use a lot, and I feel like I don't communicate it to you guys enough, but there's a website called allinOnebusiness.net. Are you guys familiar with that? AllinOnebusiness.net. It's another team, but there is so much product information on there. There's also a doctor on there that gives about a 5-minute PowerPoint presentation. I know when Shalane was looking at doing this, that was a huge thing she was looking at. And so the information that's in there is also incredible. If someone, I also very often will send from YouTube the Jim Rhodes Blood Cleanse video. It shows the progression of cells as they are. I don't want to say what they are because I want this to be compliant. It shows the progression of unhealthy cells to healthy cells and how cleansing really helps with that. So you want to make sure that you're aware of that video. That's another great video to send. Now, I want to go a little bit farther into the follow-up. So this is where we're at so far. We've done the 3-way call. You've said to the person, so what do you think? They've came back and they've said to you, what do you think? You've sent them a tool. I kind of gave you some ideas of some of the tools that you've sent them. They're looking at that. And then the next day, you need to come back then and you need to message them and you need to say, I want to see if you were able to take a look at the video I sent you. Tell me what you think. And as they begin to communicate, as they're more and more open, you may want to then say to them, so do you think this is something you're ready to get started doing? I say that all the time. Is it something you're ready to get started doing? And so that follow-up is so, so important. Now, this is the thing. It is very normal for someone, even someone who is interested, it is very normal for them to not message back. not because they're not interested, because we live in a very fast-paced, busy life. And so what you want to do to keep the awkwardness away is stay connected on their social media. And I'm not talking about being weird, but just liking their pictures, commenting, staying social with them, and then going back and telling them then if there's a special or maybe there's an opportunity share that's coming out. Dr. Bruce is maybe going to do an opportunity share on Thursday night. Dr. Stevie is going to be doing an opportunity share. So that's a great thing for you to go back and just say, hey, I was thinking about you. We have a doctor that's going to be available doing an opportunity share on Thursday night. I would love for you to get on that if you at that all that you can. That's following up. Now, if you've messaged them, I would say 3 to 4 times and there's been no response back, I will almost always send a very open-ended message, and I ask them a question because at that point I'm ready for them to say no or yes. So I literally will say, Kelly, I know that we talked about Isagenix a while back, and I know that you know that I would love to coach you on the product. I would love to have you be a part of it. But tell me, is this anything you're still thinking about? Either way is absolutely fine with me. I just don't want to keep bothering you if the time's not right. Like, I will literally come right out and say that because I want to get a yes or no. I had a Rodan and Fields lady that literally kept messaging me and messaging me and messaging me. And I really wasn't interested. I had told her I wasn't interested, but I felt kind of bad for her. And at one point she kind of said that very directly to me. And it was the biggest relief in my life to know she really wasn't going to bother me about it anymore. And so go ahead and just ask that hard question so that they can come back then and tell you yes or no. That is definitely also part of the follow-up. Now, let's talk about tracking it. There's a couple of things that you can do. I track primarily one way, or actually 2 ways. I track on my whiteboard in my little office. So if I have, when I'm following up and I've talked to people, I'm going to write down who my prospects are. And then next to it, I'm going to write down when the last time I followed up and what they said back. One thing I do think people are very legitimate about with Isagenix is when they say things to me like, I have a guy that told me I'm going on vacation. I'll be back on October 16th. And then I'm interested. So I put that down to contact him back on October 16th. And I didn't think, oh, he's just putting me off. I remembered then to go back and contact him on October 16th, but I'm going to honor that. So if they're saying to you a certain date, you want to write that down. You need to have every prospect written down and what they said to you. I also track mine in my notebook. So on my spiral notebook that I keep from month to month in the back, I'll list out every prospect that I'm following up with. So any follow-up I have going on is listed out on my back sheet. And then when they've made a decision, they're highlighted off. I've tried a million other ways. I've tried to keep it on my phone. I've tried to have spreadsheets. None of those things work for me. So I'm old-fashioned with a notebook. It's what I do. But if I do not have it written down, I will forget about people. I will forget about some of my best people. And so tracking that is so, so, so important. So that's really kind of what I really have as far as the follow-up. I just think that so much of it is just asking that hard question. So what do you think? Is this something that you might want to try? Or I know that we've been talking a little bit while now. Is it something that you're still interested in? Or, is the timing a little bit off? I'm okay with that either way. And then just staying really connected. And then you want to talk to enough people that you're not dependent upon anybody. I talk to so many people that it does not matter to me who says yes or who says no. And that's really what you want it to be so that you don't have that emotional connection. Because if they're saying no, they're not saying no to you. They're just saying no to the opportunity. So you want to really be aware of that. Okay, so I want to see who has questions, like specific things with follow-up, anything at all. that, I mean, if you do, please ask, because if you do, somebody else is going to have the same question. So anybody? Nobody? I'm okay if you don't. I just want to make sure. Okay, so basically where we're at right now, then going into tomorrow, and then we're really going to dig into connecting and doing some social media stuff going into Wednesday and Thursday, which are my favorite topics. But what I wanted to do, and overcoming objections, but what I wanted to do is to get you guys enough knowledge for those of you that are brand new, that you can get rolling on these training calls. So our goal, or your assignment for tomorrow, is to talk to 2 of your people, to find 2 people that will listen in the next 24 hours. So that's your goal, is to find 2 people. And on the page tonight, I would love for you to just simply put down the first name of the 2 people that you believe you're going to talk to within the next 48 hours. So you're going to post the name of the first 2 people that you're going to talk to. I just said 48 hours, but in the next 24 hours, you're going to post that up. Now, something else I want you to kind of keep in mind is on Thursday night, Dr. Stevie and I are going to be doing an opportunity share. She's going to be talking about the product. I'm going to be talking about the business. We are going to do full on business. So it'll be about probably about a 35-minute Zoom. And so you can feel free to get your guests on that. And any guests that are on that will count towards your 25 for the week. So that's coming up as well. All right, guys? All right. So remember, you're saying you're going to stay on the line after that 3-way call. You're going to let your executive go. And then you're going to say, so what did you really think? You're listening for what they're saying. And then you're going to send them a tool based upon what they shared with you. And then the next day, you're going to follow up and see what they thought. All right, guys? All right. Well, you guys have a great rest of your week. Thank you for getting on tonight. Bye, everybody.